Hi everybody. So I get a lot of questions around Halloween time how I build my tombstone. So I figured I'd answer a few questions. So I built last year. I took some old designs and redid them. So I had basically three, four, five. I had like 8 new tombstones out in the yard. 6 of which were completely brand new, 2 which I had just redone to make them look a lot better, which were these 2 over here, Poltergeist and For Rent. So I make my tombstones basically like all the other people online who do a great job on theirs. Same thing, foam, 2-inch foam. I make mine 4 inches thick. Exception to that one is 3 inches because sometimes I want them to be a little bit smaller in size. I felt like if that one was 4 inches thick, it might not look as good, so I wanted it to be a little bit more narrow. These basically have a lot of time put into them. I put hours into each one, so I'm pretty immaculate about my detail. Now, I know there's some things I can improve on. I don't use acetone. I actually regret it. I should. However, given the way these look, I don't even know if I need to use acetone because they look so good. Of course, that would give them more of a stone-like appearance with like the, with more of a porous type of texture on it, on the surface. You want it to look like the water has eaten away, your stone over time. But anyway, these ones are built out of foam. You can get it at any hardware store. Now, I'm more immaculate with my engravings than some people. That doesn't mean that your tombstone won't look good if you do that. I just feel like if you spend more time on the actual epitaph, I think it really pulls together your whole tombstone nicely. So an example, like you can look at the epitaph on this, and I'll zoom in just so you guys can read that. And I mean, where do you see an imperfection? Not that they have to be perfect. Again, this is a tombstone; it's aged, but this is small. Look at my finger compared to the size of that. That's tiny. I have to use small, tiny accessory Dremel bits to do these. I print all my epitaphs on a piece of paper. I use glue. I don't tape. I find tape just doesn't work for me. It doesn't stick to the foam. I use the dollar store kids glue, and I just glue them on. I measure everything to make sure everything is center. I measure it exactly from each side. I'm pretty particular about where I measure stuff so it looks like it's centered. I'm probably a little bit over the top on detail, but you know what? It's okay because I'm pretty happy with what the work turns out to be. So some of these I use different fonts. You can see a lot of them have that same sort of bold font. On this one will be embalmed. That one I used a little bit more of a skinnier, different, I believe different font, but in fact, this one probably could use a little acetone along the edges. You can kind of see some of the foam when it was painted over, it stuck to it. But however, from a distance, given you see this from like 20, 30 feet away with a spotlight on it at night, these actually look pretty good. I even did the potion bottle, just printed that on a piece of paper, taped it. Well, actually glued it, I'm sorry. And then went through and did all the key details and turned out I was pretty happy with how it turned out with the potion bottle on it. I never really did images like that. So for me, that was a new thing. So I figured I'd try that. Some of them, the dates are just like that. And then some of them have longer epitaphs, like very small, 1 bedroom. Neighbors are dead quiet. I mean, obviously that's a popular tombstone. But when you're getting into it, you got to try, kind of start from the bottom, work your way up. But I mean, the font and the legibility of these, with how you can read them, they're pretty spectacular, really. And like I said, these are 4 inches thick, so when you look at this, careful, from a distance, I mean, it looks like an actual tombstone. It's, last year I did some, I took one of those paint pads and took a darker gray and went over this and just kind of blotched it. And I mean, it did okay. It looks like you got some texture running in there. Not really as great as it could have been, but enough to where I said, that works pretty good. These are all different. I use router bits to do the edges, Dremel bits to do the epitaphs. This one was probably the hardest of all the tombstones, not counting the Celtic cross. This one required me to do a lot of cutting into it to get the right shape. Then I had to do that, so
you know, these are pretty good tombstones. So if you ever have any questions, just ask me, and I'll show you guys some tips if you'd like. So see you guys later, and bye-bye.